You ever wonder how your therapist deals with things? Have you ever thought to yourself after a particularly difficult session that, man, I just unloaded a lot on my therapist. I wonder how they deal with stuff because I know I'm not the only one seeing them. Well, since I have a nice hot cup of coffee here today and it says, why not? Why not talk about it? Why not talk about how do therapists cope? Specifically, how do I cope in order to be a good therapist, an effective therapist, and help my clients through their stuff? I'll put the coffee cup down. I want to talk a little bit about one of the difficulties in being a therapist, which is we hear a lot of things from a lot of people over a long, extended period of time. Now, if you're good at what you do as a therapist, and this is my personal bias, other therapists might disagree. But to be good at my job, to be good at what I do, I really need to care about my clients. I really need to go beyond just being someone listening, sitting down and listening to people. So I try to really put a lot of myself into my work. I offer my personal opinions when asked, or I expose my personal opinions, I should say. I don't impose them. I don't push them on my clients. But if my client will ask me, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I will give them my personal opinion in light of that. I will express my concern. I will express that I care. I will express when I am proud of my clients. So I put a lot into it. And I believe by doing that, that personal touch makes the therapy relationship even more powerful. And when that relationship is powerful, then the techniques that we're talking about are gonna work. And that's what the research shows. No matter what else is going on, if you have a strong relationship with your therapist and you trust them and they trust you, everything you talk about and everything you're working on is going to be enhanced. So one of the things you've got to remember is your therapist has a lot of stuff going on. A lot of therapists don't realize that. And they get stressed out. They get overworked. They get tired. They get grouchy over a long period of time. It's one of my personal biases against being a therapist. I think a lot of therapists don't do a good job of taking care of themselves. They're stressed out. They're overworked. They're seeing 10 people a day. And they're doing it 5, 6, 7 days a week. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to go see a therapist who's totally stressed out and who can't handle their own stuff. But as a therapist that cares, if you do care, and if you are working hard at doing a good job for your clients, you're going to get what I call some vicarious trauma. Meaning you're going to feel the trauma that your clients are feeling. You're going to take some of that in you. You're going to take some of that home with you, accidentally or otherwise. It's going to happen. How can you not feel for your clients when they go through these terrible events in their lives, or when bad luck hits them at the wrong time in their life? Of course, you're going to feel it, and it's going to hit you in a way similar to how it's hitting your client. So you've got to understand that about working with a therapist, is that they're going to take some of it on, whether they're aware of it or not. Now, untreated, if your therapist is not seeing their own therapist, if your therapist is not doing their work, that's going to affect their ability to do a good job with you. So, in light of that, I want to talk about what are 3 things that I do. Now, they're just 3 things that I do, but what are some of the things that a therapist can do, and I'm going to give you my examples, to cope better with the stress of being a professional therapist. And my first tip is don't over-identify with what you do in life. By that I mean don't over-identify with your job. A lot of therapists are weird. They're weird because they're so practiced they can't separate themselves from who they are as a professional and who they are as a person. So when you're hanging out with them at a party, they're asking you how you feel and they're evaluating it. That's weird, people. That's not comfortable. We shouldn't be doing that. So when we over-identify with what we do, when we say, I am a therapist and this is what I do, I overanalyze things, I overthink, I see meanings where there are none. Everything is symbolic to me. If I'm eating ice cream, if I'm having a drink at a party, if I'm just hanging out and eating potato chips, I'm going to overanalyze everything, right? Because that's what therapists do. No. From the beginning of my career, one of the things that has helped me the most is to not over-identify with who I am as a therapist. Yes, I have a special set of skills via the movie Taken, right? I have a special set of skills, and that helps me help a lot of people. But that's not who I am. That's a part of my identity. That's not my entire identity. So I don't over-identify with it. A lot of times I don't know what to tell people when they ask me in public, what do you do? And then I'm like, oh God. How do I explain this to people? I do so many things. I do therapy. I do consultations. I do assessments. I help some of the top athletes in the world perform better. How do I say that in one sentence without scaring this person or without them wanting therapy right now on the spot? So sometimes I just say I'm a consultant. Sometimes I just say I'm a businessman. It depends on my mood, depends on my day. But the reason behind that is I don't over-identify with my job. You shouldn't do that either. My second pro tip, professional tip on how to cope with stuff better is to have hobbies outside of work. Hobbies make us more interesting. Hobbies help us deal with the stressors of everyday life. We go to work, we work our butts off to make money so that we can follow our dreams, pursue things that are important to us, make our family, take our family along with us on these dreams, right? Well, we need some hobbies too. And hobbies are just there for the sake of personal fulfillment. My hobbies might not be hobbies that you like. For instance, I like to collect vintage baseball cards. That might seem really boring to you. That's really relaxing to me. I love to do that. I love to find an old card at a good price and see if I can get it in my collection. If I can't, I can't. Maybe I'll trade one of my older cards with someone else who's more interested in someone like a Sandy Koufax or Willie Mays or all these old timers that I like to collect. So I like to collect baseball cards. It relaxes me. Sometimes my kids think it's funny and they think it's kind of silly when I'll take my cards out and I'll organize them and sort through them and things like that. But I do that because it relaxes me. If you measure my heart, you measure my heart rate, you measure my blood pressure, they're going to be down when I'm engaging in my hobbies, such as baseball card collecting. I also have a hobby of martial arts. For years, 10 years, I did Muay Thai, kickboxing. Now I've moved on to now doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for the last several years. I love it. It's relaxing, and it has nothing to do with therapy. In fact, it's pretty violent at times, but it relaxes me. It's therapeutic. It's a hobby. I like to get better at it. I know I'm not the best. I know I'm not the worst. I like the self-mastery aspect of martial arts. I also like the fact that it helps me out health-wise, and it clears my mind. It's pretty hard to overthink things when someone's trying to strangle you, right? So, martial arts. Reading is another hobby you could do too. So far, it's 2022. I've read almost 30 books, and I'm trying to read more because I'm so interested in reading and learning new things about myself and other people. It's sometimes fiction, sometimes nonfiction, sometimes biography, sometimes history. But I love to read, and I'm addicted to it. I'll admit that. It's a hobby, and it brings me pleasure. I also like to travel. My family knows this because they're travelers too. They love to travel. My kids, my wife, everyone, we love to travel. We like to discover new places, new food, new people, new friends all over the world. So travel opens our minds to new possibilities. It fires new pathways in our brain that haven't been fired before. And then my last hobby, I like to do things with genealogy. I like to do family tree research. That can be pretty tedious at times, but it's really fun to go back and dig up and be the family archaeologist for what's gone on in the past. What are the issues? Who had skeletons in their closet? Who had addiction? Who did this? Who did great things and built great things with their own hands in my family tree? That relaxes me. So there, right there, I have 5 hobbies that I just discussed. I probably have more that I'm forgetting about right now as I'm filming this video, but the point of these hobbies is to relax me. One final tip from a pro on how you can cope better with the trauma of everyday life. I want you to have anti-stress routines. This is something that I do in my life as a therapist because I have so much stress that I get from my work. So what's an anti-stress routine? It's something that's built into my day, and the purpose of it is to reduce the stress that I'm feeling. So I like to read in the evening. I like to read before bed. That relaxes me. But I'll have a certain way of doing things. I like to get up. I like to brush my teeth. I like to pray a little bit. I like to meditate. I like to take a cold shower in the morning. All those things combined for a good morning, right? They combine for a good anti-stress start to my day before I go into work and listen to other people's stress. And when I go to bed, I like to do things that calm me down. I like to get stuff ready for the next day. I like to read. I like to watch shows with my wife or my family. I like to talk. I like to pray. I like to fall asleep while praying, whether you believe in a God or not, right? Whether you believe, whether you pray to something, okay? That's just part of my routine. It's part of my anti-stress routine as a therapist. And so I bookend my days. I start my day with these routines and I end my day with these routines. And it's pretty similar every single day. But the whole point is they build in the notion of reducing the stress in my body and in my mind. So there you have it. Those are 3 tips from a pro on how I can cope with the stress that I come across on a daily basis. And maybe 1, 2, or all 3 of them can be something that you can use in your life to overcome stress.